Hello, my name is Jessica Duis, and I'm incredibly excited to be here to talk to you about a topic that I'm very passionate about, which is our Angelman Syndrome Foundation Center of Excellence and how we coordinate care in our clinic. So I'm very lucky to have this amazing team of individuals um, representing many different fields of medicine, including neurology, epilepsy, physical medicine and rehabilitation, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech and language therapy. We have a fantastic nurse coordinator and also a focus on cognition and developmental pediatrics. So we have this fantastic team to really try to provide a medical home and comprehensive care for individuals with Angelman syndrome. And what that means is that when you're seen in our clinic, we really want to create a resource for you where you can reach out to our nurse coordinator who's available and can be reached by telephone during business hours. And we want to be helping you on a day-to-day change those quality of life issues and get involved to help as much as possible. So our visit with us is just the first step, but then we become a resource and are available to you as long as you continue care with us. And we see you frequently enough to be able to continue care based on some of the restrictions we have with our licensing. So this is sort of how I've conceptualized Center of Excellence. It's that multidisciplinary coordinated care that I just discussed, where we're your medical home. We don't necessarily provide the primary care. We don't do the vaccinations, but we are here. And if you have a problem that's related or could be related to Angelman, we want you to call us and we want to help troubleshoot those issues and make sure you feel supported, even if we're not your local team. Access center for patients is also a really important piece of this clinical care. So, one of the things that we do is provide consults to local teams so that we can empower caregivers and families to utilize their local team and still provide some of that expert knowledge from taking care of many individuals with Angelman syndrome. Education is a big piece of it, and that includes education of local teams, whether that be individualized education plans and making sure that you have a resource to work through that with you. It also is educating new providers and training new providers to take care of individuals with Angelman and develop that expertise. So we've done some programs, for example, where we've done webinars where we've shared our knowledge of Angelman syndrome, and a lot of that has been through the support of the Angelman Syndrome Foundation. Clinical trials is a huge piece of it. And that's the whole future of not just Angelman, but of genetics and where we hope that our molecular knowledge is going in terms of really treating the individual and their specific genetic disorder. So we have a huge team that works with us on clinical trials, ensuring that we can be a part of that and offer those opportunities to families here. And it's really, really nice when it's a family that you already know and have a relationship with and know the individual clinically. We do a lot of translational research here. And one of the things that I really focus on is clinical outcome measures, and how do we measure success in a clinical trial, and how do we think outside the box when it comes to that, which is a really important issue right now. And then bench research is a piece of that. So we have projects where we try to understand how Angelman syndrome occurs, and whether there's any increased risks factors that we're not aware of. And we do a lot of bench research as well. So, and all of us come together. And I think the most important thing is that we have conversations, and all of our experience informs the other pieces of this. So we want to make sure that we take the best care of individuals with Angelman and that we can really impact their day-to-day quality of life. And there are so many things that we've learned about that do make an impact and really improve quality of life. And so we want to make sure that every individual with Angelman syndrome has access to that. And that's also part of our goal as a center of excellence, interacting with other centers across the country and the world. So, multidisciplinary coordination is something I'm very passionate about, and I think is a big piece of what we provide in a center of excellence. So, for example, that comprehensive care, of course, is part of it. Urgent management, and this can either be through referrals, um, or it can be our patients that we see in clinic reaching out to our clinic coordinator, and our coordinator getting in touch with the appropriate provider and providing feedback and support to the family. We often will coordinate them, if they need a local visit with an emergency room, for example, calling ahead, letting them know what we know about Angelman syndrome and what we might recommend based on what we know about symptoms. We also do a lot of coordinating care and making sure individuals have the equipment that they need in their home, whether that be a safe sleep bed or adaptive stroller or bath chair. It's really important to us. Therapy referrals and making sure that they have access to therapy is really, really important. And it's something that we do a lot of for adult individuals. I think a lot of times local providers feel like therapy is not something that's available to adults. And that's something that we have found ways to work with the insurance and ways to make sure that that can happen. And then acute care can be those consults. So it can be, we have a system in place, something called Angelman Expert Consult at childrenscolorado.org, where we do offer that support to local teams, so that we can make sure that individuals have access to the best care possible. So we have established individuals and urgent referrals that come in. Again, the key to this center of excellence is our phenomenal nurse coordinator who fields the calls. Her name is Christina Gross. She's wonderful and she fields all the calls. Um, she can add on visits. She often contacts me and asks, can we have an add on visit if there's something that acutely needs to be taken care of? She can also work with me and we can, or one of our other providers, depending on what the issue is, to give feedback back to the family, to troubleshoot things. If it's a family that we know, we can offer often some feedback by phone. Telehealth, we try to do as much telehealth as possible. And so that's why we've expanded access to telehealth by getting licensed, with the support of the Angelman Syndrome Foundation across many additional states. But we really try to manage things by phone. We have families calls all the time. Sometimes we can just hear the story and know that it's being caused by constipation or suspect constipation and give treatment recommendations to a family that we know, over the phone, or we can troubleshoot sleep medications, or we can talk with the family and the school if there's something that seems to have changed that could have impacted behavior. So we do a lot of that, um, via telephone and supporting families. Regular visits, we see all ages, 0 all the way through the end of life. We tend to see, I would say, more local patients every 6 months to a year. If the rules are usually at least every year we have to see someone so that we continue this type of, managing by phone and supporting families, by phone. Um, and we often recommend that families see all of our specialists in the multidisciplinary clinic because, many, many times there's so much that we all bring to the table and think about that it is a unique experience with each provider. And, we really provide the best care when we each get to see the individual and work with the family. And part of our center of excellence is that we have a meeting to talk about what are our plans and come up with a treatment plan at the end of the day after we're done with clinic. So it is really helpful to see everybody, but there are sometimes situations where it is a long appointment. Families want to see specific specialists. And so we can try to work around that and front load the schedule. And um, I'm not going to go through this, but I just can't emphasize enough that multidisciplinary team and how much every single time I meet someone with Angelman, I learn something new about Angelman, that I take with me and I carry with me when I see the next person. And, the families are so amazing and they share so much with us about what works for their child or adult. They share so much about what symptoms they're seeing. They have really great insight. And I carry that with me, and it really makes a big difference for every single person I see after that individual. So I'm so thankful to be a part of this amazing community. And I just can't emphasize enough that as we see each individual, we keep learning more about what are some of the day to day challenges of Angelman and how do we better treat them. And that's where I think we can impact quality of life right now for individuals with Angelman. um, there's so many hopeful things in the future and trials, and we're super excited and participating in that as well. But, we have a lot that we can change and offer right now, today, through these centers of excellence. So, the centers of excellence really recognize the community needs, how important it is to establish standards of care, and the care network available through the centers of excellence was really integral in being able to put together that standard of care document. And that said, it it needs to be revised, because we keep learning more and more, and we need to keep working together to make sure that we're leaving no stone unturned in terms of how we care for individuals with Angelman. We also want to create access to experienced providers, and we really want care to be close to home. And so that's part of the goals of these centers of excellence, is to educate more providers and empower providers to take care of individuals with Angelman. And one of the things I'm so passionate about is health equity for all individuals with Angelman. I don't want people to have to feel like they have to travel. I know that there's a huge burden associated. I know that it's anxiety producing. I know that individuals with Angelman don't sleep well when they're away from their usual environment. And so we want to create resources where everybody can get the same care and benefit from our knowledge. And so a big important step of that is education of additional providers into the network, and education of communities, education of local community providers, paraprofessionals, school systems, therapists. It's all really an important part of making sure we educate individuals about Angelman syndrome. So I want to just share that we do some real-time consultations that is supported by the Angelman Syndrome Foundation. And we provide those recommendations back to local providers. We can do medical, speech, and language therapy, IEP advocacy, as well as nutrition. And then we also have support for occupational therapy, which can also really help with behavior and ideas for behavior. We've also increased our telehealth services to allow for this to occur, to allow for access to a provider who can then provide treatment recommendations. There are some restrictions on telehealth, but even potentially provide prescriptions for certain medications. And then we continue to work forward and improve our standards of care, and want to put out clinical guidance and management standards from our experience doing these consultations. And so this is how this works. So you send an email to Angelman Expert Consult at childrenscolorado.org. It will send you an automatic email back to complete a survey and sign some documents. And then you can schedule with our amazing providers. And then we send the recommendations back to your local provider. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And that's really the what our centers of excellence look like, and some of the services and support we provide. And, we are always here to help. So if there's anything that you think that we can do for you, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. And thank you so much for listening.